David, we've seen some real weakness coming through from the rand this morning. Do you think some of that can be attributed to those statements that were attributed to Ebrahim Patel?
I think all the rand's weakness can be attributed to domestic factors. There's no doubt there's been an economic shift in the last few days as the cabinet has been reshuffled, and it appears Mr. Manuel's lost a lot of his power. And that's been followed up by rumor after rumor about what's been happening. But certainly, if one looks at the last few weeks and the last few months, it's very apparent that COSATU has grabbed hold of economic policy, and they've kind of demonstrated their way into a position of power. And that's put a lot of nervousness into the currency markets at this point.
Well, if that does actually play out to be so, do you think we could expect more weakness for the rand?
Yeah, I think uncertainty is the big issue. The authorities will say, well, you mustn't panic, things are under control. But really, uncertainty is one of the sort of banes of the financial markets, and where people are unsure of what's going on, then the safest route is to take the money off the table. And what we're seeing now is, any foreign investors that do have money in the equity market, or potentially people that were looking at FDI trades, these kind of rumors, these kind of stories, these kind of happenings would certainly cause them to rethink that strategy, and that would feed through into further weakness.
David, how feasible would it be to fix the rand? Do we have the resources in South Africa to do that?
I'm not sure. History suggests that's not a very prudent strategy. The government has come out and denied that that's what they're going to do. It becomes a very, very onerous thing to do. If one takes the example of China, and we're nowhere near the economic size of China, not at all. But the cost of managing their $2.5 trillion worth of reserves is really, really exorbitant, and you really have to keep that train running, so to speak. So if the government's come out and the Reserve Bank has come out and said the rand's too strong, and that may be true, if there's any sort of pegging or mechanism that takes away the floating exchange rate, then that would surmise that the Reserve Bank would step in and manage a band, so to speak, and then of course the costs associated with that become really, really onerous. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of debate around this issue. Should it be something in a policy paper? But I think of more concern is really the shift in policymakers and who's really owning the power at the moment.
Of course, we do have the MPC winding up in just a few hours' time. We spoke about this on Monday, David. Does your view remain the same?
I'm almost 100% sure that there's no rate movement on the cards today. The only sort of surprise move would come if they're really serious about weakening the rand today. They could perhaps cut interest rates by 50 points, but I don't think that's feasible at all. I don't think it's plausible, and that would just fly in the face of everything that we've come to understand about monetary policy. And over the last few years, I really can't see a cut today.
And do you think the rand's already priced in steady interest rates?
I think so. Certainly we'd see rand weakness if they do cut rates. But as steady as she goes, policy would have hardly an impact on the rand. I don't think anybody's expecting an interest rate cut, and nobody's positioned for a weaker rand from that perspective in any case. So I think as steady as she goes would have very little impact on the rand.
David, the dollar's still not managing to sustain a break above 150 against the euro. Do you think it's just a matter of time?
Well, I think it is, but I also, in the short term, I think it is a time for consolidation. Two really psychological levels: 150 for the euro against the dollar, 10,000 for the Dow. We've seen markets run ahead of themselves, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a period of consolidation and the euro hovering around these levels, perhaps a touch weaker, perhaps a touch stronger. But I think we're entering into a short phase of consolidation here until the market tries to digest what's happening as far as the global economy is concerned, and then take some views from that.
Of course, we are right slap bang in the middle of the US earnings season. We have US jobless data coming out soon, and also monthly home prices. What are the risks at the moment, do you think, for the currency markets?
Sorry, that was very faint. Say that again.
We also have some key economic data coming out. We have the US jobless claims data, monthly home prices. What are the risks, do you think, for the currency market, for the dollar and the rand at this stage?
Well, I think the last few months' worth of job data has shown that any economic recovery is not supported by jobs growth. And I think the risk for certainly for equity markets and for currency markets is that kind of view is seen to be continuing. A lack of jobs being created, that will really put a little bit of a scare under equity markets, and perhaps for some more weakness into emerging market currencies. That's the big risk for me. I haven't seen evidence of job growth recently, and I would imagine it's going to be hard to surprise for job growth to surprise to the upside.
David, the rand's broken away from that 740 range it's been trading at for the past few days. We were above 750 now. Where to next for the rand, do you think?
Yeah, we certainly are in a new range now, 742, and on the top side, 762. The markets will be watching economic policy, domestic economic policy, with a huge degree of interest. And I think for the moment we're in that range. As I said earlier, uncertainty is one of the worst things for financial markets. And I really struggle to see how the rand's going to gain any positive traction given the state of the scenario that we're in at the moment.